Yes, questions?
Just a quick question. If you don't come to our house to do the interview, where are we going to do them?
All right. Well, right now we regularly use a couple of studios in the Grand Rapids area. There's WKTV on Clyde Park in Wyoming and BCTV over in Byron Center.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, we are ideally what can happen as this project expands is we find other places with studios where they're willing to do it, and find the other thing that can happen is you can choose a venue, it doesn't have to be your house, it could be someplace else. Basically any place, as long as it's reasonably quiet and has halfway decent light, will work. But those are the options right now.
One other question. How long is this? Apparently this is an ongoing program. So if I were to, by some way, find a whole lot of other vets that don't know anything about this program, would that be beneficial to the program?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, one of the nice things about being set up at the university and having the university support for the archive and the rest of it, and having access to student workers, federal work studies is a fine thing. Some federal money is well spent. But basically
That's called lobbying.
Yeah, there we go. But basically, we're up and running and ongoing. I mean, actually, it was this project that first got our library kind of into the video age. When I told them I wanted to do this, they were like, that can't we? That's going to be too expensive, whatever. And we just started looking, and sure enough, we could do it. So we're in for the long haul. I've got a colleague in my department who lives along the lake shore. He's willing to go and visit people and do interviews. You can contact the congressman's office and give him the information on people, and we can follow up and find people. But yeah, we're in it for the long haul.
One other thing real quick is, can I get some information from you about the program so that I can relate it to these other people?
I happen to have brought along some handy brochures with me, and they're over there on the table. So, and our website's on there as well, so that's all there.
Okay.
And we are trying to make sure that we develop as a resource as well. And I just want to point out Val Sherlow, who is right here, handles Veterans Affairs for our office. And we are wanting to try to develop this along the lake shore and try to get some more studios and different places that are equipped to do it. And frankly, there's a number of community access stations and that kind of thing that are sort of untapped, and they're always looking for program content and those kinds of things. So we're hoping to expand that, so please make sure we stand. Young lady in the back, yes. That'd be my mom.
I'd like to talk to. Is there any thought of a veterans museum? Because we have so many things from his experience and also his father from World War I, and we had no place to go with it.
The Huizenga family archives are somewhere getting full. From my father was a World War I polar bear. For those of you from the area. What did I say? Father? My grandfather. Sorry. Yeah, Grandpa was a polar bear, and then Dad was in World War II. So we've got some of those things. And I don't know. You sat for many years on the Holland Trust here.
I can answer that. That's a very timely question. This noon, to qualify what I'm going to say.
Repeat the question is what people were asking.
The question is relative to a museum for military purposes, correct? It just so happens that my former commander, Colonel Geards, who started Howland Hitch Company, was one of the others, donated $450,000 to purchase the armory several years ago. They've spent $150,000 in addition to improving the building, with a stipulation that a percentage of the building be preserved for a military museum. So about 8 to 10 of us are meeting monthly, the third Monday morning, Monday noon of every month, as liaison with the museum board of directors, trying to tie the two together so that we can preserve the military aspect. And your question couldn't have been any more timely, because I brought up the fact this noon that initially the intent was to preserve the history of our unit. And I said we should go way beyond that. We should include Congressional Medal of Honor winners. We should include the Korean vets, the AM vets, every organization that has veterans, and they can become part of the museum so that someone can have a place to go with all the artifacts. So keep tuned. I'm glad you asked the question.
So you might have a few things on loan from the Huizenga family. So, but I think that we have had a rich history of involvement from this area, dating back to the Civil War times, and you know, Lincoln specifically singled out the Michigan troops at various times. So here we go. It's Freedom Patriots of Michigan, 1865 to 2000. This is a sheet, a draft copy of what Colonel's talking about. So, any other questions? Yes, sir.
Will you make that one story, or is it all become individual stories, or as a group story?
The question is, and I'll pass it off, is it a group story or individual stories? And I'll let you talk a little bit about how they're cataloged. But I want to point out this gentleman. We had a great opportunity, along with my father and a few others, to do a medal presentation ceremony. And at that time, we had. Is there somebody else here for that? Oh, hey, is it Paul?
Fred.
What? Fred. That's right. Yes, and there's right. Okay, there we go. We got the row right here. So there's Vietnam, Korea, and World War II, right?
Korea.
Yep. That was really something special to be able to go and do that. And we want to hear from you as well. This is something that that our office also is engaged in. We've got one coming up here, I think on the, when is that? Thursday, 20th? We had a call from a family whose dad had sort of taken a turn for the worse. And he's 93, I think he was. There he is. He's still here. He was with the 9th Air Force out of England, flew B-26s, the Marauders. And we went to his room in the nursing home and were able to do the medal presentation there. And we kind of did a little impromptu, because I was asking the family going in, this was all kind of coming together very quickly. And I said, well, kind of that question, where'd your dad serve? Well, I think Europe. What was he in? I don't know. I think it was planes, and I think it was in the B-24s or something, and just weren't real fuzzy on the details. I said, is it okay with you if I just start asking him questions? And he said, yeah, he doesn't talk a whole lot about it. I said, well, here's the thing. Sometimes a third party coming in can coax something out of someone that they're not going to give up to their family. And so I made sure we had the video cameras out, and we just started talking. And it turns out he came out with a number of things. And at one point he said, I bet you my kids don't even know this part, that he had gone to Nebraska Teachers Institute to become an officer. And they're like, you went to school in Nebraska? The kids were shocked at that, and all those types of stories. So often, that's a great way, I think, as you're having sort of that disinterested, quote-unquote disinterested, very interested, but neutral person coming in and being able to ask these questions and sort of put people to ease. But if you can talk a little bit about the cataloging.
Okay, well, the interviews themselves are individual interviews. You want to focus on that one person, follow his story. If you are fortunate enough to encounter more than one man who was in the same unit or who had stories of overlap, and you can interview both of them, you do it separately, but effectively one informs the other. So, but basically, no, interviews are kind of one at a time individual things, but the way the database is set up, it's then possible to go and search for all the people who were in a particular unit or theater or whatever you want to look for.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, if there's no other questions, who's ready to go do this? All right, we got a couple of hands. All right, we got a couple of takers. Well, we really hope that you will. And I got one guy who's done a lot of interviewing of me. I think I might want to interview him at some point. Juke Vanos is here. We've traded. I had a chance to spend some time in the Philippines. I know Juke was in the Philippines and he was in Korea. And he said, "Oh well, it's just the occupying forces." And I say, "No, that is as important in many ways because that needs to inform us about what happened just after the bullets quit flying. What else was going on?" But we've got some materials over there. Feel free to talk to Val, talk to Dr. Smither here. What types of materials you have out there? Anything? What is the next step? Let's give them that. What is the next step that people that are ready to do this? What do they need to do? Sorry. Yeah.
You just made a good point, Bill. I've got a friend who is right now. He's on the edge of dying, and there isn't a Veterans Day in the last 20 years that he hasn't apologized to me. And why are you apologizing to me? Well, I spent all the time in World War II in Washington, D.C. And I said, well, so you had a job. And he says, yes, but I wasn't in combat. I feel guilty. I said, stop feeling guilty. If it wasn't working together, we would never won the war. So if there are any of you out here who say, well, yeah, I had a cushy job, or I had this, or I had that, tell the story. It's all part of the story.
All right. Well, if you are willing to sign up, Val has over there copies of the Library of Congress, sort of the bio sheet forms as well. And there, if you fill one of those out here, including your contact information, your phone number, email address, whatever you use, then it'll be possible for us to get in touch with you and arrange to set up the interview. That's the main thing. Again, there's also copies. Our brochure out there has all my contact information and stuff on our website, so you can also get hold of me directly, and that works too. So that's sort of step A. And otherwise, more particular questions, you can just ask us.
All right. With that, thank you very much. We appreciate your interest. This is, I think, a great way that we can honor those that have been involved. I know. I will never call you Bill, though. You're Mr. Sikkel, Mayor, and Colonel. That's all. As the Colonel was talking, I glanced over and I saw that on the wall there. All gave some gave all. And this is such a great way to honor those that gave all, and to honor those that gave some. This is our collective story, and it's our duty to make sure that we capture it. So thank you for your interest and your participation, and we'll be around here for a little while. Thank you.